MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
and this is Andy, and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Welcome to Bass number 570. We've hit a new, I don't know, it's 570, whatever. So Andy and I were talking about this promotion Coke did way back in the day, and I want to get into that a little more on the air here because it was a very interesting thing.
I'd never heard of it. It feels very Willy Wonka-esque, you know, because so essentially what this is, and this was in 1990, I guess, you bought some Coke, and then you open the can, and this little plastic holder thing would pop up, and it would have some, like a roll of cash.
Right. Let me add Mike in real quick. Michael?
Hello.
Hey, Mike.
Okay. We're talking about a Coca-Cola promotion, so just hang with us for a minute here.
All right.
So my confusion is that you said that the cans were filled with this kind of like gross water,
right,
to like offset the weight.
Yes.
And then there was, but how was the money not ruined? Was it in a little plastic wrap thing, I guess?
I'm assuming, yeah, I never won, so I don't know, but it was, they did it in a way where the money would spring out. And I guess, again, this is a long time ago, so I'm kind of doing this from memory. I may have some of the facts wrong, but sometimes the money wouldn't pop out, and you would think you just had a regular can of Coke, so you would drink this nasty, horrible water that was in this thing and go, oh my God, what the hell? And it was it didn't go over quite like Coca-Cola had hoped it would. Let's put it that way.
They cancel it after a month because I guess when the mechanism, this is from Retro News Now on Twitter. So the mechanism, how it worked was that it needs to be completely vertical within the chassis of the can for it to spring upward. But when you're shipping and moving all these cans around, they would get jostled and the little mechanism would fall tilt. So you'd open the can and there'd be no pop-up money, and then you drink the nasty water stuff and then be like, what the hell is this? And then you taste, then you look in the can and you're like, oh, I guess I want some money, so it's not too bad. But still, I just drank some nasty shit.
Not only that, but you drink it and then maybe you want $1. So you drink it and you go, wait a minute, I just did that for a fucking $1?
Yeah, so it could
have like 50s and 100s, I think. I don't remember exactly.
It could be $5, $10, or even $500, but it doesn't necessarily specify.
Right.
But anyway, it was just a weird little tiny promotion. I love finding these things. If anyone knows of a good resource for like one-off weird promotions that are just like lost to time, send them my way. I love this stuff. I could read about this all day.
Yeah, that Retro News Now is a really cool thing to follow on Twitter too, if you're interested. It's just like at Retro News Now, I believe.
Yeah, nothing fancy. They post all sorts of weird, kind of old timey stuff, but
you can find stuff to go down the rabbit hole on pretty good on there if you're interested. It's a cool thing. It's anyway. So, Michael, you moved, huh?
Yes, I did.
How'd that go?
Tiring.
Right.
Like last week has been crazy. So, just sort of settling in, I guess.
Without giving anything away, I know you were living close to Ybor City. Are you still within the vicinity? Or are you further away?
I'm a bit closer to Ybor, actually.
Okay.
I'm a bit closer. So got everything up and running. Obviously, the internet's working. I wasn't sure, if it would be, but everything came together on time, and here I am.
Wow. Well, good for you, man.
Thank you.
So we're still waiting for Zach, who said he was around the corner. I don't know what that means in Los Angeles. That could mean anything.
Yeah.
And here we are. So, but yeah, the Retro News thing is cool. And you know what, Andy, I'm into all that shit. So if I find some stuff, I'll send it your way.
Definitely. Yeah. I have a strange fascination. I was thinking about this kind of earlier too. while I was listening to randomly listening to tunes on Spotify, where you can also find our podcast, by the way, it's on Spotify.
Absolutely. Look at that. That's how it's done, folks, right there.
Brought to you by.
So Tino's Lucky Strikes.
Well, I don't know. Have you ever listened to like any? I think it's called like retro wave or synth wave, Greg or Mike.
Yes, I have. Actually, it's one of my favorite genres. I love that. I love that stuff.
What does that entail exactly?
So it's a very synthesizer driven. It's like it's trying to capture this like neon, usually instrumental. Mike, feel free to jump in if you can better describe it.
So the best way to describe it is that it is instrumental synthwave, kind of purposefully done in a style to emulate 1980s sort of aesthetics.
Kraftwerk, basically. Do you guys know who they are? German instrumental band?
No, I don't know who that is.
Well, it sounds like it's right up their alley. They do the stuff.
It's kind of just instrumental synth, kind of a 1980s, early 90s sound. The version of it that I've recently gotten into is Mallsoft. Actually,
Mallsoft, yeah, I love Mallsoft.
Oh man, no, Mallsoft has just been it's been a godsend. It's a great way to just unwind.
I will have to look into this.
Yeah, I mean, Mallsoft is essentially an even more like nuanced version of synthwave. Can be a lot of different things to based on the tempo and stuff. Mallsoft is deliberately made to sound like you are walking around a mall in some ambiguous 1980s, maybe early 1990s. It's like Muzak kind of, but like undefined
like stuff that I would play before the show would start. Here, I've got a little bit if you guys want to hear some. This is Mallsoft.
Okay. Yep.
No, pretty much that.
Oh yeah, I could groove on that for a while, I think.
Oh yeah, it's perfect to just put on and have it in the background, and it's kind of mindless, which I guess is the original intent of it anyway. But it's manufactured now. I hate to say manufactured, but people make it now, and it's sort of become this whole like culture to it. There's Zach. Zach, we're discussing Mallsoft and like synthwave,
vaporwave. Like
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
But basically, the reason I brought it up is because, like,
I came on and heard you say it's a cultural wave, and I was like, "Oh, are we talking about Squid Game?" And that's not what we're talking about.
No, Squid. No, oh god.
Gary says like walking in a Bill and Ted montage. I guess that would kind of work, right?
More or less, I suppose. Yeah. It's basically like the people have this vision. It's almost like they want to re-put themselves into that time period without them ever having lived in it. Not that I have. I was like, I was born in 85, so I have a few years of really knowing what it was like to be in the 80s. But like, people sort of have romanticized and want to bottle this feeling of that era. And
dear Lord, why?
So they want to do what Ozymandias in Watchmen was doing, right? Wasn't that the fragrance he made, Nostalgia?
Yeah. It's sort of a desire to. It's hard. I don't know. It's hard to say, but just it kind of rests on the idea that it's a aesthetically pleasing sort of time period, or at least in terms of visuals, music.
Right. It's an aesthetics thing more than anything. It's sort of just the reason I brought it up in the first place was that I feel like these sort of promotions, because Zach, God, we just talked ourselves in circles now. We started off talking about this weird Coke promo from 1990 where they had money inside of a Coke can.
Sure.
And the reason I brought up this other thing, this music part, was because it just feels like those things don't happen anymore. These kind of promotions, they don't do these to this way anymore. They're all kind of digital, which isn't nearly as fun.
The Coca-Cola commercial there's been two Coca-Cola commercials that really pissed me off for their sheer, just I guess, like how fucking dare you-ness of it all. The first was maybe a month or so ago, maybe last 2 months, maybe 2.5 months. And it was about how, like, they didn't come out and write and say, like, the COVID pandemic, but they're like, over the last year, we've learned to appreciate the small things. And it's like a shot, and they're like shots of people.
Unprecedented times.
Yes, and it's like shots of like people all drinking Cokes out
I saw that commercial.
at like sitting around like tables, and it's like, we've learned not to sweat the small stuff, and it's like Coke is there for you to be like part of your life in these trying times, and it's like, go fuck right off.
You remember they did a commercial similar, maybe it was not a commercial, but like a thing similar to that, where it was in an airport and everybody was like, the flights were all fucked or whatever. There was a scheduling problem and all these people got together and they solved it by drinking Coke together.
There was another one, the other one that really pissed me off.
Like a little conversation going in our comments section here. It's pretty cool.
the other one that really pissed me off was it's like a bunch of people playing like World of Warcraft essentially, and like they're all killing each other in the game, and then like one kid has his like character put down his axe, and then everyone puts down their axe, and it's like it just takes one person to like end violence or whatever, and then like the first kid like looks at his avatar on the computer and raises a Coke to him, and it's like, oh fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You're selling sugar water that's probably taken 10 years off my fucking life.
I mean, nothing beats that Pepsi commercial with the Kardashian that was like social
Kendall
justice.
Jenner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the one where she gives a Pepsi to the cop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it was like
the riot police.
It was like a friendly riot or something.
Yeah.
A friendly race riot, and they gave
Pepsi. I just solved everything.
Right. It was like
and riots and all of it.
It was Pepsi. One of the most tone deaf, egregiously just not living in reality ads. Just like what are you smoking that you thought this was a good idea?
The amazing thing about stuff like that is that like it's not just that it was a bad idea, but multiple people had to like okay it. Right. They had to hire actors, they had to write out a script, they had to hire a film crew to film it, and at no point in this process did somebody just go like, guys, this is dumb.
So let's get off of the.
Yeah,
do you guys remember when Pepsi did? This is still like a pop promotion, but when iTunes first became a thing, Pepsi did this thing where you could win a free iTunes under a bottle cap. I know, like this is really cool. So, except
you know what, like a song.
A song, yes.
Okay. It was a free song under the
free. You mean the things that are 99 cents?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you could like basically it would give you a code and you would redeem it on iTunes. Okay. Except that they didn't kind of think it through, because you could tilt the bottle and look and see if you won or not. I mean, I must have gotten, I'm not kidding you, 50, 75 songs over the course of this thing. It's like, oh, there's one. And back then it wasn't.
So, basically the entire Kiss discography on
I already had
on Greg's iTunes was paid for by Pepsi.
No, I already had
back in the day when kids hung out at malls, around the same era. The Gap had promotion where if you tried on a pair of jeans, you got a free iTunes song.
Yeah.
So the amount of jeans that me and my friends tried on.
We should do a special show on this. Like go out and research it a little bit and find some of the crazy promotions that we've seen. That everything now is like retweet this for a chance to win, or like us on Facebook for a chance to win. And there's really, I mean, that's fine.
Well, the Twitter one is a dangerous game, as the Patriots learned a few years ago.
Without question, Chaos Blast, Kiss is still the official band of basically a sports show.
And by the way, none of us had a say in that. It just
kind of, yeah. I just decided that one on my own. I'll take the heat on that. That was a totally Greg decision there.
Insert here, Toronto.
But to get into the sports, to get into the sports area of things, we have some breaking news actually, or at least it's been posted in the last 3 minutes on the CCSLC mothership.
Okay.
Oklahoma City has new city uniforms. The Thunder in the
they look like stormtroopers.
Sorry.
There you go.
There it is.
So I get are these replacing the fucking Oklahoma City bombing ones?
Hold that thought.
I believe so. Everybody, from what I've read in all the NBA uniform previews I've seen, all the city jerseys except for Utah and Phoenix are being replaced this year, and they're all being dubbed as these quote unquote mixtape uniforms, where they take.
I thought somebody was making fun of it when I saw that.
No, it's they're taking like an old design and kind of combining it with something else or changing the colors. Like the ones that I've seen are like,
retro,
right? Well, because it's the NBA's 75th anniversary, so for these alternate uniforms, they're trying to really bang on the history of a team or the league in general.
Crazy idea for the 75th anniversary. Why not just do straight throwbacks?
A couple teams are doing that. Like the Knicks are doing that. The Celtics are sort of doing that.
You know why they don't do throwbacks, I think, anymore? Because everybody goes, hey, those look better than anything you wear. Maybe that's...
especially in the NBA.
Yeah.
With the uniform situation as dire as it is, yeah.
I was just... Before I forget, speaking of uniforms, the London game with the Falcons, did we talk about that last week? How fucking ridiculous those...
the gradients, yeah.
Oh, Lord. Just wanted to get...
They took the gradients to London?
Yep. Because that's what you want to show when when you're trying to sell the game to the Brits. It's like
sending the best and brightest games and uniforms.
Right.
It's legitimately baffling, but I still do love those Falcons uniforms when you get like the whole gradient thing on like a 350-pound lineman, like just brilliant, beautiful.
I noticed when the Chargers were playing when they showed up in Baltimore yesterday, that even those great Chargers uniforms look kind of silly if the wrong guy's wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a thing that kind of.
Well, I mean, like it's particularly egregious with the Falcons because those gradients are just.
Oh Lord!
God damn it!
So this mixtape thing, I see what Zach was talking about. They have elements from like.
Here, I'll find it.
All their old alternate uniforms, and they have like the one on the image on the mothership homepage has the like here's what each piece is. Yeah. While it's a cool idea, maybe you could just have a good uniform. I just don't.
I'm going to pull up the Uniwatch one because most of them haven't been revealed yet, but some of them have. And like there's I think we brought up the Miami one, and it's
that sort of thinking. God damn it!
I mean, it's not that these
Andy. That's not how we do things at Nike. All right, like
that somebody didn't color in.
At Nike, we're all about innovation, even if it's not good.
Well, you know what?
I would say, especially if it's not good, Mike. Not even if
you know who the big winners of this is Loves. They because everything else in that uniform is bland except for the colored in Loves logo. Don't get me wrong, I love I love me a Loves, but it's just like you got to know they're all like fist pumping each other and stuff today, just being like, yeah, dude, we.
The question, of course, though, is like, okay, so we've got all these alternate uniforms that all these elements are pulled from. Why is it just white and gray? Like the Thunder don't have that as like a thing.
Well,
it's never
Mike,
been a thing.
What is the color of Thunder?
Thunder doesn't have a color.
Exactly.
Oh fuck!
But white is technically all colors.
Technically, I know. I just made that up. I don't know what the actual.
Yeah, but Zach, there's like I put your odds at least 65% that's going to be the Nike speak to justify it.
Right. Yeah.
What color is Thunder? All colors.
You know what? The NBA has just gone right off the deep end with the uniforms to the point where, again, when's the season start? Wednesday? Yeah. I think everyone should have some fun. And if you're into this sort of thing, if you're not, that's fine too. But everyone should have some fun. Flip through a bunch of games and without looking at the scorebook, see if you can tell who's playing.
We've already gotten stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that ever since this Nike uniform system came out, it's been like a common thing. where like people in the NBA thread, the CCSLC, have gone like, I tuned into this game and I couldn't tell who was playing.
I had to be a bunch of times last season. I was like, I don't know who anybody is. I just don't know.
I mean, that's the NBA is very, very young and progressive with its like, the uniforms as expression and things like that. I don't want to, be an old man shaking my fist at the cloud about it. But I mean, it's just, I feel like you need anchors though. You need anchor uniforms to come back to. And I feel like now it's sort of like, well, there are no main uniforms anymore. People just wear whatever the fuck you want every game. There's no definition.
I'm going to drop in some of the leaked. So some of them are just jersey designs, but some of them are jerseys for the for these.
Well, my thing with the uniforms is that if people like us can't figure out who the hell's playing, do you really think anybody else can?
Well, the funniest thing, actually, this is basketball. So this is baseball, but it's still the same kind of thing because it's a Nike, I guess, invention. Randomly, just randomly, like maybe in the last couple of weeks of the regular season, of the baseball regular season, my dad texts me out of the blue and he goes, "Why are the Red Sox wearing yellow and blue?" And I had to try to explain what a city edition was to my dad, and my dad just was like, "Well, that just sounds stupid," and I just like, yeah, it is.
So these
this Miami one here that Zach sent.
The Miami one is.
I hate it. Go fuck yourselves.
Well, the Miami one is sort of like what Cleveland did, where they just, in a way, I mean, because this Miami one, it looks like, I guess, they're mixing a lot of their looks together, I guess.
Yeah, that's what a lot of these are.
It just screams we don't have any other ideas, so just throw it in a bag and we'll see what comes out.
Well, of course I don't have any ideas. We talked about this, we talked about this maybe a year, or a year and a half ago, that like, the system that they have for the NBA where each team has between 4 or 5 jerseys, and at least 3 of those jerseys are meant to be redesigned on a yearly basis to keep things fresh, you're going to run out of ideas.
Yeah.
There are only so many ideas per team, and eventually you're going to run into that thing where you're like, well, what do we do that hasn't been done? So I don't know, black jersey and slap all the different fucking letters on it.
Well, like the second one I sent is the Lakers, and it's like, it's purple with the light blue slapped on, and then a couple of the stars and the angled word mark, and also drop shadow, and
it's
literally just like everything we've ever done. Throw it in a bag, and here you go.
The Lakers one isn't as bad as the Miami one,
but it's like it's literally just taking one thing from everything and trying to put it together. And like, as much as it's like it's kind of unique to have the purple and the light blue, until all of a sudden I stared at it for an extra second. I'm like, oh, so they made the Lakers a 90s Utah Jazz uniform.
Well, no, I like my first thought when I saw those Lakers uniforms was like, that's a good Utah Jazz uniform, actually. Yeah.
Politics. Anybody wants to take a look?
Yeah.
Just shut it down. We need 2 uniforms and be done with it. My God.
It's funny. I remember maybe it was a while ago. It was before we started doing the show. It was that long ago. But I remember being on the CCSLC forums, and it was in an NHL thread, and the Admiral actually said, like, alternate uniforms are dumb. You should only have, home and away, look your best every night. And at the time, I thought, like, no, that's dumb. It's cool. You have a cool alternate uniform. It's fun. It's completely fine. And the more I see of this shit, I'm starting to be like, it's not a bad. Maybe we do need to just burn it all down.
In addition to these city uniforms, you're also going to get the throwbacks are separate because it is the 75th thing.
I like
and
these.
There's no earned jerseys this year, if that matters to anybody.
I never knew what they were in the first place, so it's fine by me. Are the Sixers trying to be the Nuggets here, or is this a LGBT type
Oh,
team
it's the
for
Spectrum. It's the Philadelphia Spectrum.
Oh, okay. It still sucks, but all right. I get it now.
Yeah.
Like they should call these the slow cooker edition, because it feels like they just threw a bunch of like uniform elements into a crock pot and came back after a couple days and were like, aha, a design. And it's like, okay, all right. And I mean, Jared is correct. I mean, ultimately it's the dollar that speaks. The dollar or outrage. Because you remember the New Era put out those stupid hats this past summer. And
what was it? The ones with the upside down logos?
Just all this stupid city stickers, clip art shit
and all that. What were those?
Right. And I remember that.
Like market edition, I think were those, or market
something.
Yeah.
And something. Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, who are these for? Who would buy this? And
well, it made it gained ground. I'm sure they sold a fair few in a short time, but like I feel like they do. Some companies, I mean, obviously this is a major, NBA, this is an entire league that are, agreeing to do this with Nike. Whereas like New Era can just be like, fuck it, put them out. Let's go nuts and see what happens. The outrage sold probably a couple million hats and then they shut it down.
Chicago's isn't too bad.
I like that one, yeah.
Then again, it's just like a basic jersey. So
yeah, but I like it. But then again, if you take a closer look, it just looks like a Chicago jersey you would buy from a place that doesn't have the license for the actual Bulls jerseys. Like this would be it almost looks like a counterfeit knockoff.
We'll see. I don't know.
I think it'll look fine. I mean, it's a if you're going to do a knockoff, it's one of the better ones. But
yeah,
the depends on what the numbers are, of course.
I would agree.
The T-Wolves one is interesting. But as someone who grew up with the uniforms that these are like based off of, they look really weird to not have any black in them.
Yeah. See, I don't mind things like what the Timberwolves did. Or like what we saw with all those years of the Cav Fanatic uniforms. Where you're basically taking the old design and then putting either the new colors on it or taking the current design and putting the old colors on it. Just a pure color swap, I think, is kind of fun as a way to like link all the eras. Like, I mean, hell, you just have to look at my little avatar thing right now, the Mighty Ducks logo in the current Ducks colors. But when you're doing these Frankenstein things of like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, it doesn't. It's a little too much of everything rather than just like something, a simple concept. That
I'm looking at Memphis's, and I'm hard pressed to even tell you what the difference is between that and what their normal look is. I pay no attention to the Grizzlies.
You get the Vancouver trim.
Oh, well, that's fun, I guess.
But again, that doesn't make sense for Memphis because the Native Americans there did not have the same art style.
It's the Pacific Northwest, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So, well, nobody ever said it made sense.
No.
There you go. So I'm going to reserve judgment. Well, except for a couple of those because they were just like the Thunder. I don't know. Honestly, if you put that, it was all white and silver, right?
Yeah, like white and gray, kind of. Yeah.
You put that on the court under bright lights, it's just like they're out there running around in a white jersey and white shorts. Will you be able to see anything? I mean, HDTV will help with that, but I mean, if you're like in the 85th row at that arena, are you going to even be able to tell who's who?
Yeah, as long as the other team is wearing a dark uniform, I suppose you'd be all right. But as far as
you want to watch
individuals,
I couldn't name a single Oklahoma City Thunder, but let's just pretend that Kevin Durant and Westbrook and Harden still play there. Would you be, other than Harden's beard, you'd be like, I think that's him if you were in the stands, but you wouldn't know because you wouldn't be able to see the numbers and all that. I would think. I could be wrong.
Quick question. Which name is worse? The Wild, the Thunder, or the Kraken?
They're all in my shit tier of names.
I would say if I had to pick, I'd go with, just because it's unique, I'd say Kraken. Well, it's not really that. It's not unique. It's just what everybody.
It's a meme.
Kraken, I suppose, is the best and of the worst. That's like saying this one tastes the least shitty of all the pizzas we're trying here.
What Wild is the worst of those?
Wild, I got to go with Wild too. Thunder,
because at least the Thunder is a thing the Kraken is a fake thing, but it's a thing.
And the wrong.
Whereas the Wild is just kind of this nebulous. Is it a adjective? Is it bewilderment? Like, is it what? And then what animal did you choose? All of them, apparently.
But what's interesting is I would agree that the Wild are probably the worst. It's probably the worst name of the bunch, but they have the best logo.
Yeah, that's where they make up for it.
There's no
well, I think Seattle's got a pretty damn good logo.
It still reminds me of Seagrams too much. Like,
I think it's too obvious too.
A little tentacle, little splotch of red. I think it's neat.
But I think the Wild, it could mean a lot of different things. I mean, Wild doesn't necessarily, depending on the people. I mean, I imagine if you live in Minneapolis or St. Paul, you're not, when you think of the Wild, you don't think of the woods because you don't live out there. I mean, I don't know. It's a horrible name, but a great look. So the Thunder have, I think, the name makes sense geographically because it's Tornado Alley out there. But then again, why not just call them like the Cyclones or the Tornadoes or the Twisters, whatever?
I like, just generally speaking too, all those fall under the as somebody that has to write these things down for a living, right? Mm-hmm. I prefer plural names.
Yeah. How do you, Zach? What would you call a member of the Kraken?
He is a Kraken.
He's a Kraken.
A Wild. Okay. How would you describe a player who plays for the Minnesota Wild?
I mean, technically, you would say he's a Wild, but I think like if I had to write it down, they'd be like he plays for the Minnesota Wild. Like you basically have to like kind of write your way around it. You can't just say like, went past the. Well, I guess you could say went past the Wild defender or something.
Well, it's sort of like
Wild net.
It's sort of like, is Joe Sakic an Avalanche?
On his game,
Matt Sundin is a Maple.
No, again,
he plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but
you
Joe
have to be
Sakic
a little bit more.
Avalanche.
You have to be a little more careful of how you write it. Like, there's ways to do it where it's not so clunky, but it presents a problem that you don't have to deal with even like Red Sox. Like I hate that because it's like, is he a Red Sox? I guess
if you're going to be grammatically correct about it, he's a Red Sox.
Yeah, I've heard it say, like, same with the White Sox. I've heard him say, "Well, he's been a White Sox." I'm like, that sounds stupid and wrong. He's a White Sox.
Right. Wrong, but it's actually correct.
I mean,
if you say White Sox, I mean, it makes more sense. I think White Sox or Red Sox is more pleasing to the eye and the ear.
Yeah,
but it's correct. And
it's not even that, like, people could say, like, well, what about what they do with the, English soccer, for example? It's like, well, that's different too, because like that's a group. It's like he is played for the Manchester United club. He's played for the club. He's played for United. You don't say he's played for Wild. He's played for United, and that's just what you say, and you don't have to like think twice about it. But he's played for the Wild. Can
we just make a declaration right now that none of us like singular names?
Well, my favorite has to be the Jazz. Like, he is a Jazz. He is a singular Jazz.
Well, and then you say, oh, he's a jazz player. Oh, what instrument?
Yeah.
Basketball.
He is such an artist that he just becomes the genre. He is a jazz. Yeah.
Which, by the way, they noted in one of these previews, and I guess they did in an interview, the Jazz are going to change up their look next year.
Yeah, to what? The black and white or something weird?
I didn't see anything about specifics, but I think they're looking to change the logo and maybe the colors.
So they're looking to change the logo and the colors, and where Andy's thing comes from is that somebody leaked a picture of their practice court.
Oh, well, that doesn't mean anything.
And it's just like it's black and white. It's like the Jazz note in black and white.
Yeah, it's a practice court. It doesn't need to be frills. It's
if you're not going to have a court that has a banner that says playoff participants with all of the years that you've made the playoffs, then what's even the point?
I don't understand. Like, first of all, I want to get this in before we get too far into a different thing, and this may not be exclusive to the Admiral, but he calls the Minnesota Wild's crest the scenery bear, and I think that's exactly.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah, that
scenery bear.
But again, it isn't a bear. It's also not a wolf, and it's also not a wolverine.
Yeah,
it's just a wild animal.
With the first guess, I would have said it was some sort of wild cat.
It is a specifically said as a wild animal, not specific to any animal itself.
Okay, what's the scenery animal then? It's
Scenery
I like scenery bear. I've always seen it as a bear, so scenery bear is fine.
The jazz thing, this so the I guess the owner said that his daughter was confused because
it's
okay.
trash.
Oh yeah. Trash is here to pick it up.
It's here.
So the owner, Ryan Smith, jazz owner Ryan Smith, said that he is making the change after a conversation he had with minority owner Dwayne Wade, who claimed his mother couldn't figure out what the Jazz's colors were. So they're making it black and white with a yellow accent, apparently.
Wait a minute. They're changing the colors of the team because an old person, couldn't tell what the like.
Is Dwayne Wade's mom an avid watcher of the Utah Jazz?
I don't know. Probably not.
If I asked my grandmother to say what the colors of the Utah Jazz are, she wouldn't tell you either. Because she doesn't watch basketball.
No offense to Dwayne Wade's grandmother, but
well, let's give her a chance.
Old people, with maybe her vision isn't what it's used to. Like, is this how we're? Yeah. The cataracts are that. This is how we're deciding team color. If the old people who can barely see know what the colors are. Like,
I also don't think that's a terrible argument. Like, if you're somebody that watches any of the sport for 10 minutes, you would understand that it's just, well, yes, they have a lot of alternates, so maybe that's too many colors to throw in, but that's the alternates problem. The Utah Jazz's colors are green, gold, and purple. That's just that's pretty simple to me.
Yeah,
I don't know what we have to devoid all personality from it and make it black and white and a little bit of yellow. Just
I'm
gold and purple. It's all there.
I am all for giving the old people a shot at this because how much worse could it be? And you never know. Dwayne Wade's grandmother may come out with the uniform and go, "Well, goddamn, that's pretty fucking good."
Well, they were fine.
I thought
5 years ago, right when they finally changed to this scheme with this current logo, where it's like the throwback logo but slightly updated, and they got the colors right. It was like an Arizona Cardinals effect, right? Where it's like the logo is what it should be. Like, you did a good job of taking the old thing, cleaning it up for the modern applications, and let's roll with it. I think it's perfectly fine as of now. I don't like that they have this sunset uniform alternate. That's just too much going on. And even if they do throwbacks to the 90s or whatever, those were still purple. There's a consistent through line of purple at the very least. And so now you're going to go to a uniform that doesn't have purple. The Jazz have always had some sort of purple at some point.
Well, no, because Dwayne Wade's grandmother, who probably has Coke rim glasses, couldn't tell you what the colors were. So we have to
give her a shot.
Okay.
Who knows?
I mean, I have no real fucks to give about the Utah Jazz in general, but I mean, just from a uniform perspective, it's like pick a damn lane. Let's just stick with something for
lest
20
you
years.
Become the Padres or the Canucks, right?
Hey.
You don't want to be in that territory.
To be fair, both the Padres and the Canucks are on level steady footing now. The Padres
eventually, but it was a winding road to get there.
And the Padres took every possible bad turn they could take.
Oh yeah,
I would have to argue that what would be the NBA's Padres or Canucks, and it would have to be the Jazz, right?
Yeah, probably.
I'd say the Jazz, especially when you do count the alternates, because if you start counting the alternates, you've got the original purple, gold, and green. You've got then the 90s, purple, sky blue, white, jade,
Mountain,
copper, and then you've got the double blue and white.
Yeah, I have one of those double blue and white.
And then and then they went back to the current one, which is a darker purple, green, and gold, and then the sunset, where it's
the navy blue in there too, and
the navy blue, and then you got the sunset one. So I think if you count the whole thing, it's got to be the Jazz.
Yeah,
and then that 1 year, that one weird year where they had a road uniform that was green instead of purple for some reason.
Right,
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm trying to pull up their history here on the mothership.
Yeah, and yes, Chaos Blast. The Jazz and about half the NBA did double blue in the mid 2000s.
I can't remember the player's name. I picked up the jersey for $8, I think, and it didn't look too bad. I mean, it was just a basic.
By the way, I was wrong. The current Jazz don't actually use purple. It's navy blue, green, and gold.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
whatever.
I thought it was purple.
No, right? It's
that shows you how much.
Maybe Dwayne Wade's grandma's right.
Yeah, she spotted that. She said that ain't purple. That's navy blue. We got to fix that.
So that would be fucking hilarious if Dwayne Wade's grandma was like, "It's supposed to be purple. Why isn't it purple?" And then Jazz ownership took that as a sign, like we need to get rid of all the color.
No, we need to be the Brooklyn Nets.
What would be great is if she was doing like a uniform dork move on. I'm like going, back in 90 whatever, you had this and this and this, and you need to go back to that. That would be the best thing ever if that's what his grandmother was doing.
It sounds like it backfired if that was the case.
Well, but yeah, they want to be the Brooklyn Nets because when I think of Brooklyn, I also think like Salt Lake City right there with them. Like,
hey, what? Speaking of the Nets, I want to ask this really quick because I was listening to Bill Simmons today, and they were talking about New York teams. Do you guys consider Brooklyn part of like the Rangers, Mets, Jets?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think you can divide it down like it's Mets, Jets, Nets, and Islanders. They don't fit the rhyming scheme. But
the Yankees, Giants, Knicks. I don't. I consider Brooklyn its own entity. Like,
I mean, it's part of New York City.
Yeah, but it's also like the fourth biggest city in the country.
I just think that if you're if you are a Brooklyn Nets fan, I feel like Zach said you're probably also a Jets, a Mets, and an Islanders fan. Like I feel like that that
there's
seems natural.
There's a little crossover on the multiple Venn diagrams, but
yeah,
I think there's two teams in every sport there. And I mean, I guess you can even include the Devils because literally if you step outside of the arena in Newark, you can see the skyline of New York City. It's not like it's that far away, but it's all one metro area. Like you can,
but the Devils are definitely not a New York team. As far as like, do you think of them as a New York?
No,
team?
but if you're a Devils fan, you're probably also a Yankee fan or a Mets fan or a Nets fan, even because they were in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I was just curious. I always think of Brooklyn as its own thing. So that's just me.
Well, and then
the metro complex.
And then if you think about it, like, okay, why are the Mets blue and orange? Well, it's because they wanted to honor the Dodgers and the Giants. New York's two previous NL teams, and one of those
Brooklyn.
Yeah, one of them was Brooklyn. Yeah, so there is obviously a thing where, I would consider, to me, Brooklyn just is like it's kind of like special, where it is part of New York, but because it's got its own it's got its own sense of like cultural uniqueness, it gets to have its own name. But I do definitely think that they are a New York team the same way that the other ones are.
See, I see them as a Brooklyn team. Like it's just like with the Dodgers. The Brooklyn Dodgers were not. I mean, they were a New York team. I mean, obviously, if you're in Brooklyn, you're in New York City. I get that.
Yeah, I think that specific
separate from the Yankees, the Mets, and they're not, I guess, but it seems like they should be.
I think that specific splitting up that you're doing, I think that only matters if you're somebody that lives in Manhattan. Right? Like if you were born and raised in Manhattan, you're not going to be a Brooklyn Nets fan. You're going to root for the Knicks.
I don't know. This time, right about now, I'd be like, maybe those Nets don't look so bad.
No, but you're like, no, I'm a Manhattan kid. I'm not going to root for Brooklyn. But I
guess maybe that's my thing. Yeah.
But then if you're getting out into the suburbs, it's like, if you're in Westchester or something, or New Haven, Connecticut, whatever the hell, you could pick any of them, and I think you'd be just as justified in doing so. If you lived in Stamford, Connecticut, you don't have to be a Knicks fan just because you're the New York Metro, not the Brooklyn Metro. It's all the same thing.
I don't disagree with that. I just don't see it that way. I don't mean I don't see it that way as in it's not legit. I just mean when I think of the New York teams, it's like everybody, and then there's the Nets, kind of like
the new,
yeah.
They're new, but the other thing is Brooklyn is the area in Brooklyn where the Nets play. Is that a fairly affluent area. Is that pretty nice?
I think
it's like smack dab in the middle of it.
I think it's like I think it's like in the middle of like the hipster kind of vortex.
That's my thinking, is that it's probably more of a class thing than a geographical thing. I imagine that the Nets fans are probably more la-ti-da than your average Knicks. I feel like Knicks fans are like slumming it up and just they're like.
I mean, Knicks fans are slumming it up in more ways than one.
That's what I mean. They're kind of like haggard. They go to the garden, and the garden is kind of like crumbling and old, and they just kind of, we live and die in the fucking garden. We're not going to see no fucking Brooklyn Nets bullshit over in that hippie town. I just imagine it's. I imagine that's more the dynamic, because I feel like it's kind of a Cubs Sox thing in a way, whereas White Sox fans think Cubs fans are all kind of wealthy, like not blue collar, very
well.
I don't. I think there's still plenty of wealthy Knicks fans. I don't think that same dynamic exists.
Yeah.
To defend White Sox fans and their view on that, the Cubs did play into the whole waspy elitism with the fucking Wrigleyville jerseys.
Well, that and the Cubs were in every single movie in the 80s. I mean, they were they were in Ferris Bueller. They were in this movie called Running Scared. They were in. Everybody was a Cubs fan, and that's fine because it's got a great aesthetic for a movie.
We're blending conversations here. It's getting a little.
Yeah, we're getting all over the place. Let's take a sports topic.
Can we talk about how Chris Collinsworth doesn't like smart women?
Oh, you did? Did you watch the whole clip?
No, I haven't. I didn't get a chance. Oh. Sorry. I spent the early part of today moving, so you guys, I got that text just as I was about to pass out for a post move nap, but I did see a bit of it.
I don't have the clip with me here because actually I do. I've got it in the text thread here, but the part about duping girls because they're not so bright and he can get away with more, that was bad. Then he goes on to say, high school girls love me. 14 to 18, I'm a big star with them.
You. That's gross.
Yeah. And I said in the text, I said, granted, the 80s were a different time, but statutory rape was illegal back then too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know why that thing popped up. I just saw it. I'm like, well, I've got to share this with the guys.
I mean,
wow.
I think you ask any professional athlete that's like a handsome dude. I think that's the same. Like, it's weird when I go to Ducks games and you get like, you see people like, Cam Fowler, go to prom with me. Like on signs, it's like, he's not in your age bracket.
He is many years older than you, ma'am.
See, but Zach, in the clip, he was talking about picking up women. And the first thing he said is, I like them a little bit, how do you say, not as bright?
Yeah.
Easier to trick them. And then he went right from that to, he's a big star among 14 to 18-year-old high school girls. So he might have meant just what you said, like they love him because they just don't know any better, or something, or they're just, they're like fangirls or whatever you want to call them. I thought the whole thing was damn peculiar, and I'm not trying to get Chris Collinsworth fired from NBC or anything. I just thought it was just
just to toot my own horn here. I've been wanting to get rid of Chris Collinsworth since I was a fucking teenager. Not because I thought he was like a creep or anything.
Here's a guy that doesn't like Chris Collinsworth.
I just don't like Chris Collinsworth.
I just don't. He doesn't like me. I don't know what to do with it, Al. It's
all right.
crazy.
Let's go get him. Let's take his ass down.
So you know what? Fuck it. I will shamelessly abuse cancel culture to try to get I don't even have an ideological stake. It's just like I wanted this fucker off TV for the last
if we can get
20 years.
we don't care how we do it. We just want it done.
Just get him off.
And today an opportunity fell out of the sky for us. So fuck him. You're done, Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, fuck you, Chris Collinsworth. Yeah. God, you QB filleting fuck.
Speaking of which,
I will say that was a great impression, though, Zach.
Thank you. I tried.
With what, Andy?
Just speaking of filleting, I got to witness firsthand a man blow himself. Aaron Rodgers blew himself yesterday.
Yeah, he sure did.
Oh, that you're just salty.
How does it feel to be the property of Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers is a cunt. I'm just gonna throw it up. I'm used to being a second-class football. I'm used to rooting for a team that's middling to shit. And I'm used to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers coming into town and beating the Bears' ass. That's not new to me.
Andy, I'm from around Toronto. I understand.
But the last thing I or any of these Bears fans need is for this piece of shit to come into town and say, I fucking own you. I've owned you my whole life, and not be wrong. It's basically.
I love how Andy's. It's not that he said it. It's like, and he's fucking right. So fuck him.
That's why he's so mad. It's not that he said it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that like it's like we're eating foil covered leftovers, stale. They're not great, and this motherfucker's like, look at this steak I'm eating. I just paid like $200 for this steak and some caviar. You poor piece of shit.
And then he walks over to your table and kicks over your foil scraps, and
then he pukes the steak up, and is like, feast on that.
I did enjoy his post game comment because someone's like, "Hey, why'd you say what you said there?" And he's like, sometimes you just black out when you're on the field." And
so what? Aaron Rodgers scored a touchdown, then blacked out into like a rage and started yelling at Bears.
A rage of ecstasy, yeah.
Well, he said he got hit right as he made the touchdown at the end zone. He crossed the threshold, got hit. Some lady was giving him double middle fingers, and and that's what made him go like, I fucking owned you my whole life, and did the stupid discount double check, whatever. And I've seen this before. I've had my heart broken a million times by Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not. He's 22-5 or whatever. Like he's beating the fuck out of the Bears, and he will at least one more time. It's just, dude, you don't need to do that stuff. It makes me like hope that the next time they play him in Green Bay, that he gets his fucking dick knocked in the dirt. And I don't care if they're like, I don't care if it's a game ejection or whatever. Like, I wouldn't mind if he got fucking knocked on his ass because he'd frankly deserve it. It's just fuck off.
I completely relate to that. Back in the 80s when the Browns and the Bengals were a big time rival, we hated Boomer and John Elway. Fuck that. We like if somebody said, we're going to shoot him today, fans have been like, all right, go ahead.
How would you have felt if after the drive, John Elway yelled to the stands, "I fucking own you"?
Oh God.
That's the thing. Back then, he would have gotten his ass kicked in the parking lot. They would have found that motherfucker.
It would have been horrible. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's like you just ripped our fucking hearts out, and they're like stomping on the hole where our heart used to be. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, if he did this during if it was like a playoff game or a wild card game or something, like where the stakes were incredibly high, I mean, he would have been bottled. They would have thrown shit at him.
Part of me, as just a person that likes to watch the world burn, thinks that zero fucks Aaron Rodgers would be just a joyride throughout the rest of the season. But what he did yesterday, it was it was a total dick move.
He's a cunt. I mean, we can just
but here's the problem. Like Andy said, it was a dick move, but is it really a dick move when you're just presenting a fact?
Well, I think we make fun of when Mike was still a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and I would drop in a 1967 dig. It's like ha ha ha, but there's nothing else to say because
I have nothing to come back from that. Like, legitimately, every time that happens, I just look at it and maybe I would laugh, maybe I'd chuckle to myself at if it was really biting or clever or whatever. But then it's there's nothing I can say to that. So now I'm just gonna walk sadly in that direction for a while.
And so now with this, it's I own you my whole life, but you're just yeah.
It's like what else do you need to do? What else do you need to prove? What else can you can't hurt me anymore because you've taken everything from me.
He's just trying to kick you on the way out. You know that.
Right.
He knows he's not going to be able to do it ever again, so he's going to do it right now.
It's like, you know what, Aaron? I know you couldn't hack it as a Jeopardy host because you're a wood personality bearing asshole. I know that your family doesn't like you, which is nothing new because your family fucking knows what a piece of shit you are.
Oh,
And I'm sorry that your tiny dick couldn't make it past muster with a few of the whores you were dating over the years. And have fun over the next few years in your retirement tour in San Francisco or wherever the fuck, where you just kind of go around pissing other people off because you spent the last 12 years just grinding the shit out of the Bears for that one title, Mr. Hall of Famer. Yeah, I know this.
All he has to do is point. He just has to go scoreboard, and that's that beats whatever anger you have towards him.
So here's the ultimate question. This, I guess, is in Greg's vein of like wanting to watch the world burn. Let's say, Andy, he signs the Chicago Bears next year.
He already said he wasn't going to, but
that's not going to happen. You can't do that now, especially.
No.
No, but what's funny is that people have said like maybe he was just making an announcement he's going to buy the Bears. And the thing is, though, if he bought the Bears, I'd actually be like, okay, now we can talk, because that's actually probably going to be an improvement if you were to buy the team. But
what, you're
he's
not no love for Virginia?
It's nothing against Virginia. It's just
she's old and doesn't know what century it is, and I don't know what to do or say about the Bears. I could talk about this for a couple hours, and I just don't have the energy for it. But
I understand where you're coming from, though, man. I mean, John Elway in the '80s, that was him to me. And it was like the Browns only played them a couple times. They also played during the regular season.
Yeah, and
that dude just fucking owned us. It was that simple.
You can just look at the schedule and go 2 losses. That's 2.
The one and only time I ever bet football in my life with a bookie, Browns Broncos, one of the games I bet. I'm like, well, fuck, that's easy money. Broncos are going to cover. They're going to do whatever they've got to do, and I won. Yeah. But to say the name John Elway, this day still gets a little bit of a Pavlovian response out of me. I'm like, oh, that motherfucker. I hated him.
Okay, so let me hear Zach and Mike's Rogers/Elway. Is there some guy who, if you see him even now, or if you think of him from before, from whatever many years ago, is there somebody who's just like that fucking guy? Just
Tom Brady.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Mike?
To me, it's Patrice Bergeron.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Patrice Bergeron. Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, everybody's got their somebody.
See, that's the thing. Like, I've divorced myself from hockey. I've it's a shit where like my friends from back home are texting me. It's like, oh, the Leafs won, and I'm like, I'm cold and dead inside. I don't care. But like, still, man, fuck the Boston. Fuck everyone who's ever played for the Boston Bruins, like past, present, and future. Just
see, I'm not with the Flyers, and I really couldn't even tell you why. Before I became fuck. When I was just a casual hockey fan without even a team back in the '80s, fuck the Flyers. I just hate them. I hate Philadelphia sports, except the Sixers. I can't explain why. I just do.
I can see that. The Philadelphia's just
the Eagles. Fuck them and their fans and their whole stupid whatever the fuck it is they're trying to be. Like these blue collar guys live in a great big fucking city. You kiss my ass. Fuck off.
Yeah,
the Phillies are kind of harmless, but when they're good, it's like fuck them too. But the Flyers and the Eagles can just forget it, man. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't.
Yeah, like I was trying to think, like the Ducks would be the one that I have the most strong feelings about, but I don't think there's any one single team that has like completely gotten over us every single time. Like there's always a good back and forth between the Kings and the Ducks, or the Ducks and the Red Wings, or what have you. The Angels, it's an amalgamation of people. It's not just one thing.
And
so
go ahead.
The only one is Brady, because in my formative years as a football fan, with Peyton Manning as my favorite player, like Peyton Manning's career, Tom Brady's career is what Peyton Manning's career should be, but it's not, because Tom Brady exists. So he every single time that stupid ass was right there, always there at the end of the line to greet you.
And here he is, still doing it years later to other teams.
Well, that's why. Well, this doesn't really affect Zach necessarily, but it's why last year I was really pulling for the Bills in the AFC title game, because wouldn't that have been something?
God.
Like the Bills,
we finally get rid of them. We win the division, and here again, yet.
It's like you get to the Super Bowl and there's Tom Brady, and then you just have like what was the Thanos line? It's like
I am inevitable.
At the end, I am inevitable. At the end, you know.
And where has destiny brought you? Back to me. Like
exactly.
Like, no! Leave me alone. Let me have this. Go away.
As Chaos Blast doesn't like Connor McDavid, and that's a shame because Connor McDavid's on my fantasy team. So,
oh Jesus, yeah. The weirdest thing about Connor McDavid, and not to get too much
Connor
into
McDavid
hockey,
like gained that for Flames fans already. Like, it's not like Messier or Gretzky.
I mean, I'm fairly new to this whole Flames business, so I can't really speak to that. I feel like Connor McDavid is too raw. You know, he's still too new in a way.
Yeah, Brady McDonald and Mike Vernon a lot. You'll be fine.
Connor McDavid, I got to give it to him. The guy did not want to play for the Oilers. He was right there wanting to be a Leaf, and this was fate.
And the Leafs had the best chance to actually, when it came down to the final, poll, like the Leafs had the statistically best chance to draft him, and you actually saw him like die a little inside when it was Edmonton.
Yeah, he just in Chaos Blast, McDavid's he's going to tear up a lot of teams before he's done, so don't feel too bad about it. By the way, Buffalo Sabres undefeated 2-0, best team in hockey. By the way,
fuck.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I watched a little bit of their home opener, and there was maybe 10 people in that building.
They had like 500 people. I think they were lost. They didn't realize it was a Sabres.
It was literally the home opener, like brand new season, all this optimism, I guess. But
we're here for the Eagles reunion concert. What the fuck's all this hockey doing?
There is no optimism in Buffalo, but they won a couple games for now.
There was this. I think it was this Illustrated cover recently that had this. There's a whole thing about the struggling championship droughts in New York, and it showed like the Knicks and the Rangers, and they showed every team except the Buffalo Sabres. And I was like,
even put the Bills.
The Bills were on there, yeah, and it was just like you couldn't even like make the cover with the other shitty teams. You're that bad.
Oh man.
Anyway. Well, before we go to hockey,
and yet they always get national games somehow.
Yeah. What about
because they get ratings? They get ratings.
I just caught a headline the other day that there are like some issues with Jack Eichel now, I suppose.
That's the whole thing.
Well, he doesn't want to be there.
So. They stripped him of the captaincy. He's like trying to get a back surgery, and they're trying to trade him. And he doesn't want to be there. They don't want him there, but they can't trade him because they can't agree on what strategy to take on healing his back.
Right. He wants one surgery. They don't like the surgery he wants. They want him to do this other surgery, and so they're just at this weird impasse.
And of course, nobody's going to trade for a guy that needs surgery. So like everybody's at a standstill.
Oh, Chaos Blast. I don't know if it's the same as it was back in the 80s, but that Flames Oilers rivalry was fucking incredible back in the day.
No, yeah, I know how big the Flames Oilers is, but they haven't met in the playoffs with McDavid yet, right? Like
I don't know.
I can't put the McDavid as the number one guy on the list to hate for Flames fans quite yet. I'm not a Flames fan, so I don't know. But as somebody on the outside, I'd be like, that's a little premature. I'm sure he'll be there by the end of the day. But
Flames are a big reason the Oilers don't have 6 cups right now, I would say, because they won in 88? Was that the year they won?
Look,
89.
Look.
89?
Between Calgary and Winnipeg, there was a lot of talented Western Canadian hockey that just never got anywhere because of the Gretzky buzzsaw.
I just, you know what? I miss Hockey Night in Canada. I grew up on that shit. But for some reason, I'll never understand. In Toledo, Ohio, we got CBC on our cable, which is awesome.
I mean, Toledo is not even an hour from the border, so
yeah.
Well, now that you have ESPN Plus, Greg, you can watch Hockey Night in Canada every Saturday.
Is it from Canada?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, that is where Hockey Night in Canada tends to broadcast from.
No,
yes.
I mean, I just can't. Does ESPN do like some knockoff version of it? That's
because they folded in Center Ice is now part of ESPN Plus.
Ah, okay.
So like ESPN does have its national games that it will broadcast throughout the year, but like you can watch every other local broadcast, whether it's
the
local teams or the Canadian national broadcast. It's all on there.
I would love to see ESPN try their own version of Hockey Night in Canada, where they try to make Barry Melrose Don Cherry. Like,
I mean, they tried that for 10 years already.
I cut my hockey teeth on CBC's Hockey Night in Canada and the old Iron League and the International League with the Toledo Gold Diggers. So that's
dude. And then there was that brief period where Ron McLean got demoted, and it was just George Strophanopoulos. Oh my God, dark days.
Hey, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I say we should, if we're done, are we done with football? Or are we going to come back to it? I just want to get our picks.
Have we?
We haven't really talked about it.
We mentioned Aaron Rodgers owning the Bears. And by the way, I do want to mention one more thing on that because we kind of got lost. After the game, of course, because Aaron Rodgers says he owns the Bears, somebody went on Wikipedia and changed the ownership of the Bears.
Yeah.
Are we done with that joke? Like, every time someone has a big game, like, do we need to do look, somebody's already changed the Wikipedia article? Like, of course they have. Like, every time.
It's like an internet troll training ground thing where it's, there's no real, it's not a real original thought. It's kind of like somebody does because they know it'll get like 10 seconds of internet lulls for screenshots, and then it's never been really that funny. Mike, okay.
Hello. Sorry about that.
All right. No, we haven't really talked any football other than the. Well,
I just wanted to bring up that the Bucks beat the Eagles, so fuck you, Philadelphia. Go along with what Greg was saying, and also I got a kick out of seeing Bring Back the Vet whine about the Eagles being screwed again. So always fun.
Have the Eagles ever lost a game where they weren't screwed in that guy's eyes?
It's hilarious, but
no.
No.
Like, if you take away all the screwings they've gotten, according to him, they would have been undefeated for at least, how long have I been on those boards? I'm going to say 10 of the 15 years I've been there, they would be undefeated because that's how many times they got screwed.
Conspiracy.
How about the Browns? How are you feeling about the Browns?
Oh, God. Well, first off, if you can see by my my name there, Baker Mayfield. He's not a good quarterback, guys, and I know they're always hurt. He's got
but Greg, he's playing with an injured non-throwing shoulder. How could he?
He's terrible. No, I mean, really, I'll dial down the putting everything on 10 for the show and just say that he's good when it doesn't matter, and there's a lot of guys that are good when it doesn't matter. Tom Brady is good, but he's really good when it matters. Joe Montana, he was really good, but when it mattered, you were fucked. And, a guy like, who else is another one? Aaron Rodgers, for example, pretty good quarterback. But when he gets the ball back and you're up by 6 and he's got it, you're sweating bullets. That doesn't happen with Baker Mayfield ever. You just don't even think about that.
He's not a number one overall. Like he's not met his potential, and he probably never will. He's just okay.
No, but I mean, I'd argue that he shouldn't have been number one. Like he was overdrafted in his position at the time.
Could have had Josh Allen. That was my guy. I was like, Josh Allen's
Josh Allen's doing pretty well for himself.
Well, come on, Josh Allen was coming out of fucking what Wyoming. I mean, there were issues there.
He like Sam Darnold should have been picked before Mayfield at the time too. The fact that Mayfield went above Darnold and like not to say that Mayfield Darnold better than Mayfield, but at the time.
No, Mayfield was I don't get it. But for serious football for a second, I mean, it's just I'm not saying you got to be Rodgers or Brady or Montana, but you've got to show flashes that you can do it at least sometimes. And I've yet to see that at all out of him.
He threw a Hail Mary.
Yeah, well, that's great. It was at halftime. We could have used it more like, say, against the Chargers last week when they needed a touchdown to win. It's just
and that was the last points they scored in the game. Was that Hail Mary too?
Yeah, that too. Oh, the Cardinals just kicked their asses. That game wasn't even as close as that score says it was, and it was 37-14, and it wasn't even that close.
Those Cardinals are dangerous, man. They're going places.
They're fun to watch too. I got to be honest, but yeah. So that my feeling on that is just that. Baker's in a sling right now, and I'm not going to lie. There's a part of me hoping that Case Keenum starts on Thursday night against the Broncos.
Oh no!
Because I think you would see.
Greg,
I think
Greg,
you don't mean
that, Greg. You don't mean that.
Not because I think he's good, but because he's healthy. First off, and secondly, I think you'd see a more controlled approach. And one more thing on the Browns, and I will end this cleave jacking here, but it might be time to go, you know what? The OBJ experiment didn't work out, and send that poor bastard somewhere where he can actually get some playing time and get somebody to throw.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not working out. I think they're just, for whatever reason, not throwing to him.
Well, that's what I mean. If he's that good, give him a
He's
shot.
open in these games too, and they're just
right
not getting him the ball. I don't understand.
And who throws him the ball? I'm just saying.
Well, yeah.
Speaking of
it didn't help that Chubb was injured too, right?
Yeah, well, there was two tackles. Both tackles were out. Chubb was out.
Yeah, and now Hunt's injured too, right?
Yeah, he was playing hurt, and they were like, "We got to kind of go easy on him." Then I guess they said, "Well, we're down 30. So
well,
your idea. Let's just fuck it. We're not going to go easy at him." Now he's probably out for who knows how long. Go ahead, Mike.
On the on the video that Andy posted, roughing the passer penalties have gotten ridiculous.
They don't mean
absolutely.
anything anymore. Like there's some arts, and Greg, if you want to pull it up, I put it in the private chat. This is like, I know that it's easy to bitch about officiating, and I do it all the time, especially on game days, because I feel like, especially against the Packers, they favor the Packers. That's pretty much a fact in my opinion. But like the NFL, especially with some pass interference calls, but roughing the passer, look at this. Watch this clip. They call that roughing the passer. He gets like gently pushed.
I remember that was early in the game too. I remember that. Yeah,
he didn't hit him in the high shoulders or the head or anything.
No, he just kind of shoved him after he'd thrown the ball.
And they flagged that.
Yep, sure did.
I just don't like.
Oh boy, yeah. I remember being at when I was at Rams Cardinals. Like there was one. It was immaterial to the final result, but there was a play late in the first half where the Rams got called for roughing the passer on a sack. Like Kyler Murray was going to the ground. Yeah, the linebacker hit him going into the ground, and they called roughing the passer on a guy that was being tackled to the ground
because he landed on him. That's a rule now. Like you've got to find a way to sack a guy without landing on top of him now.
No, so, it wasn't even the landing with too much weight. Like he literally just like Kyler was already on the way down, and the Rams guy like went down with him and rolled off of him, and it just like flag. It's like
well, I hate to bring up the Packers again after the Aaron Rodgers thing, but that happened to Clay Matthews a few years ago, which got the whole conversation started. I don't remember the play.
Well, no, but that was still like they threw the ball. I think you can't land on him after they've thrown the ball. He had the ball in his hands. What are you supposed to do?
Well,
like you tackled him.
It's a disaster anyway. It's horrible.
Yeah, it was.
Any other big like?
Well, not to mention what was. I think it was the Rams game. Well, I think they called it back. But some of these PIs, like Gary mentioned, they're throwing PIs on uncatchable balls still, and it's like, what do we? How do you do anything in this league and not get a flag?
It's not an easy gig. Officiating the NFL sucks. I would imagine it's an unenviable job because you can't win. But it's at the same time, it's almost like you guys change this shit up every other month.
I would be more forgiving of it if I understood the logic. But we talked about this on the show as it was happening. Like, what is a move common to the game when they're trying to figure out what a catch is? Like,
I mean, they changed the wording on that again. I think, right? Make it more straightforward.
I don't know. Like, again, to me, it comes down to kids playing football on a field know what a catch is.
Yeah.
But why is this complicated?
Yeah. Mike, here's something back on me too. Okay, just one more. I don't know if there's any other games we want to talk about, really.
There's a small handful.
Let me throw this in really quick first. Did anybody see that ridiculous shit Russell Wilson was doing at the Steelers-Seahawks game last night?
No, what was he doing?
He went through the entire game plan during I think he made it up right on the fucking spot. He was pretending he was in the huddle, and then he was running around, and it was just like Russell Wilson. You didn't see this?
He was like mentally being in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. I think I can get the video to play here.
That is dumb. Fuck. God.
I'm cringing about it.
Right. It's Russell Wilson being his extra self.
Yeah, here we go.
This is just more proof. When shit like this happens, it just validates our stance. Like, there are times where I think like Do we take it too far? No, we don't. No, fuck Russell.
But like
Wilson.
the problem is like we see the light, but there's plenty of other people that just
Okay, here we go. I'm going to
bow down and be like, oh wow, look at the commitment to the game by this man. What a guy. Like,
I'm going to share this because everybody has to see this because this is the
Okay.
biggest crack of shit I've ever seen.
Let's see it.
Wait.
And to think I
Hold on.
can't see anything.
Are we supposed to see something, Greg? We can hear you.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I haven't shared it yet. Hold on a minute. Let me
So
do
Michelle
this.
touched
I forgot to share it. I had it all set up already.
So was he on ESPN or something then, or what was this?
Watch this. Just watch. Here we go.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, okay.
Let's just see what
he
happened.
was just like mic'd up for
Never
NBC.
seen
Yeah.
before. Russell Wilson came out.
Ugh.
Hey, fuck this guy. What the fuck is this?
What?
He went through a game. Everything.
Did you ever get grounded as a kid?
And you're stuck in the backyard by
Stuck in
yourself?
the backyard.
Want to hook up with a
And you're on
14-year-old?
No friends until you got
Just
your next couple games.
shut him the fuck up. That's
that's what I
embarrassing.
mean.
That's embarrassing for everybody involved.
There's somebody out there that's always gonna be sucking up to him like, oh, look at the commitment of this guy. He's injured, but he's going through the like. Shut up! Like
I
understand like wanting to be in the game and have the mental reps of a game day and all that stuff. You don't have to do it like he does.
You don't have to fucking pantomime with your imaginary friends that you're playing a game.
Just go do a workout and like run it through your head and watch the game. Like call the plays in the little earpiece in your ear, like all injured quarterbacks do.
He did that.
But he's never been injured before, so he doesn't know how to like operate.
He solely did that for the cameras. I will stand by that.
Yeah, I'd believe it. Yeah,
because I mean, pretending to be in the huddle, it's like they'll think I'm really cool if I do that. That guy is so calculated, and every move he makes, I can't believe this was anything that he's ever done before, or that we'll probably ever see again.
See, here's the thing.
See what the reaction to this is, and go from there.
I'm actually split on my view of Russell Wilson dickery. I'm like 50% of me is with you, Greg. 50% of me thinks this is all calculated. He's cultivating an image. The other 50% is more along what Zach says, where it's like, maybe he is just this oblivious and self-aware of his own bullshit.
Either way.
Either way,
part of it's 50-50. Like some of it's genuine corniness, and then there's the Go Hawks shit at the end of every interview, and that's what I file this under. And Go Hawks, like that's what I file this under. I think his genuine corniness is like carrying the suit, the tuxedo in his car. The manufactured corniness is Go Hawks, going through a game plan, all that sort of nonsense.
Chaos Blast saying Wilson should have mentally practiced going through a children's hospital.
I bet he does. I bet he sits in his car for like 20 minutes before going inside. It's like, hey, little Jimmy, what you got? Cancer? Oh, that sucks. Like
he's looking at himself in the mirror, like practicing like his inflection. Like,
just
how do I really
visualizing
sell
it
this?
and manifesting? And yeah, I bet he's doing all that. I have no doubt.
You know it.
Anyway, let's the other football that happened.
The Jags won.
You know, fuck you, Jacksonville. You 6 away. God, you could have gone for immortality.
As I said in the chat on Sunday, Mike, they have not won on U.S. soil.
Yeah.
So this doesn't count.
Yeah.
I got to give my boy Urban Meyer credit for that slant call.
That was one of the coolest. Yeah, that play was really neat.
Congratulations! 6 weeks in, he's made one good call.
Oh, I know. I'm looking. As I said yesterday, I think it was a complete fucking accident. I don't think he was like, oh, well, that worked. We should have probably thought of that before.
I feel like it was, if you take everything else aside and just look at that play, not thinking about the team's playing or the coaches, it's impressive because it's like, wow, you had 7 seconds.
5.
And you pulled it off. Yeah, it was like nothing, and they pulled it off. And then you had a kicker who was, flipping burgers a couple weeks ago, and come in and hit, big time field goals to win the game in England. So it's just like cool deal. I mean, it didn't make it any better seeing Urban Meyer just kind of walking around, slumming up, swinging his dick around the sideline, just waiting to get out there, get that London nightlife. But it's just,
Did he
sucks that
grind up at a waitress at in a pub somewhere, or
probably finger banged an adolescent at some British club after the game. Yeah, gross old fuck. But I mean, whatever.
he and Chris
you know?
Collinsworth should go out together. I think they'd have a blast.
I don't want to go down that road. But congratulations to Zach. You picked the Jaguars to win.
Whoa!
I did.
You
I
did.
did.
You still leading. You are holding off me and Mike. You are at 5-1.
Yeah, that win counts. It's not that one's not an asterisk.
No, there's no. Yeah, I'm not
Who
going
did I
to.
have last week?
You had Cowboys Patriots, and you wisely chose the Cowboys.
Oh, okay. All right.
Even
You
though
are
it
at 8.
was closer than I imagined for that one.
Well,
I-
fucking
but-
close.
But yeah, I'm kind of with Greg on this. Can we move past the Patriots are actually good? Like, because
I think they're gonna be pesky, but they're not good.
That's
They're not
that's
good.
the vibe. Annoying would be the word I would use. Like they're because you can never.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to lay down and die for you. They're going to be a pain in the ass. You know.
Yeah, like
I-
Mac Jones is better than I thought.
Yes.
Mac Jones is better than I thought, and he's probably the best of the rookie QBs so far.
Well, let's
and
see
you know
how-
they have something to build around. Good for them, you know, going forward. Lose Tom Brady, find Mac Jones. Not a bad life to live, I guess.
Mike also chose correctly. Vikings over the Panthers. Well done.
Another OT game. How many? Is it like a record amount of OTs so far this season?
I don't
Is that
know
right?
the record, but it's been a
I
while.
want to congratulate the Vikings on managing to pull out a victory despite their predictable failure at the end of regulation.
Yeah.
And what a fool I was to choose the Lions to win a game. I have not,
Well, I
not-
told you, I was going with the Lions too, but I want to say, did I not say before the season started? I said I think these Bengals are better than we're giving them credit for.
they're damn good. Yeah. Well, the thing
They
is,
are-
my measuring stick was that the Bears beat them. So I was like, well, you know, maybe there's something leaky there, and I felt like the
Yeah,
Lions
again,
do.
The Bengals wins so far this season are 3 points over the Vikings, 14 points over the Steelers, 3 points over the Jags, and this Lions win. So
I mean,
and they
whatever,
were
win's a win,
pesky,
man.
and they only lost by 3 points to the Bears and Packers.
Yeah,
So-
they're a playoff
Packers
team.
tough. Yeah, they played the Packers stuff. Right now they're better than the Browns. I think.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah. The thing though is, did Dan Campbell cry again?
I don't think
no.
so.
No, but he did say that Jared Goff needs to step up.
Who's going to bat?
Oh God! Is Dan Campbell going to walk back? There are no turds on this team. Is
Well,
Goff
they
going to
have
be
one.
the first turd?
no, a new stat that is great is that Jared Goff has never won a game under a coach that is not Sean McVay.
Really?
He lost all the games that Jeff Fisher was his coach. And then he finally won that first rookie season after Jeff Fisher got fired. And then now, you know, he had Sean McVay the year after, and now he's got Dan Campbell. So
Yeah, the Lions. The Lions could be going to David Blau. I guess he's a backup there in Detroit. I guess.
That
No.
David
they're not
Blau-
going to bench. They're not going to bench Jared Goff or anything, but just
David Blau is the name that Madden creates in your franchise mode after all the actual players have retired.
Or he's the PR guy for the team. Like, and PR, Lions chief or head of public relations, David Blau.
Didn't we determine that the head of Lions public relations was a monkey at a computer?
Right.
Probable. I mean, like to the whole like people are going out of their way to say, you know, like Drew Brees texted Dan Campbell and was like, you know, your teams play so hard, and Dan Campbell's like, yeah, like hearing that stuff from Drew keeps me going, and people, you know, some of the writers and stuff have been real supportive and saying, no, at least his teams play hard. That only goes for like a few weeks, and then once you're like 0-8, it's kind of like, your team and you just all suck and we hate you. And then, I think we're still on track for that meltdown that we thought was going to happen. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
We need to sync the NFL officiating schedule up with the line schedule to see when we've got any of the female or black refs.
Yes.
That's going to be the real show.
I think he's.
Well,
I think the guy's going to go after the women before he goes after a black guy, though, Mike. I just think that he thinks he can still get away with that.
I don't know. Like we saw with John Gruden, these things are not hard and fast.
Well, do the Lions play the Raiders this season?
No,
I don't think they do now.
Okay. Well, I figured there's a rare opportunity for a gay player. That would be just like right there for Dan Campbell to attack his sexuality. I mean, that's very possible.
I will be watching the Lions this weekend, by the way, when they come down to LA. I'm going back up to SoFi. So that'll be a very interesting game as Jared Goff comes back and Matthew Stafford plays them. And
they're just going to beat the piss out of them. I mean, the Lions.
Wouldn't it be the worst if it was actually flipped? Like, this is the game they won?
No, that's not going to happen.
Having watched both these teams, the Rams are going to boat race them.
As long as the Rams don't look right past them or just go, we've got this one in the bag, because the Lions they're horrible, but they've shown that they can kind of fuck up and actually play.
Yeah, but see, here's the beautiful thing about that. On the rare occasions where it looks like they might pull out a win, like God will just give your team like the longest field goal in NFL history.
We'll kick an 80-yard field goal to win. So Lions are 0-6. This is their upcoming schedule. They've got Rams on the road, Eagles at home.
They can win that one.
That's a coin flip. Yeah.
Yep.
And then they have a bye.
Loss.
And then they're at right. At the Steelers, at the Browns.
Loss.
I was hoping we would get to dodge those guys. Oh, that's great. Lions.
Home against the Bears, home against the Vikings.
Probably both losses.
Yeah.
At the Broncos.
That one where the Broncos are at that point, because Broncos are getting racked with injuries right now.
So like 3 wins, probably 3-4 wins
I
at
don't
most.
see more than that.
Home against the Cardinals, at the Falcons, at the Seahawks, home against the Packers.
The Falcons.
That Cardinals game is going to be a fucking disaster.
The Cardinals will be playing their backups by halftime in that one.
Yeah, I think as I stare down the schedule, it's a 2 wins at 3 at most.
Do we see another Lions 0-17 run?
No, they're gonna
no. They'll pull one off. Yeah,
they're gonna be.
If the Jaguars can fall backwards into one, so could the Lions.
Yeah.
So the Bucks.
God damn it, Jags! You're so close.
Mike's Buccaneers are favored to beat the Bears by 13.5 points next week.
Oh, I would say I take the Bears all day in that.
What?
I would.
No.
Are they playing in Chicago or in Tampa?
In Tampa.
Oh, maybe not. Never mind.
All over it.
I think the Bears could stay within 2 touchdowns
on the road.
Yeah.
That defense is pretty good. I don't know. Show.
It's a lot. I've already got it's done.
Was the Bucs defense so good that it needed to be reinforced with the duct tape that is Richard Sherman?
Well. The problem is that everyone in the secondary got injured. So
that's used duct tape, by the way, too, Zach. Not new duct tape. That's
but the thing is that the Bucs secondary is beat to shit, but at the same time, they have the only team that's actually really been able to take advantage of that was the Rams. The other everyone else who they've played, the secondary has looked weak, but they've managed to pull it out. So if they can keep pulling wins out of their asses while the secondary is beat up to the point where then they still have a pretty strong record when the secondary gets healthy, that's a good position to be in. So now whether or not they, how they do against the Bears is going to be I honestly don't know, because is this going to be a Bears team that shows up and tries, or is this going to be the Bears team that got 46 yards of offense? So I'm not entirely sure.
I think it'll be a 33, 17 win. I don't think it's going to be anything a lot. But speaking of which, prediction wise, we need to get to this week's picks.
All right.
Oh, yes.
last game that means anything.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Ravens Chargers. Ravens big win.
Man, what a kick to the nuts for the Chargers, man. They got fucking humbled.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah,
They were riding high. They thought that they were like, oh, we're the best team in the AFC, and
No.
not so much.
You know what though? That game, it shows me, to kind of do a domino theory here thing, but like that shows me the Browns aren't as good as people think they are, because the Browns ran all over them, and the Ravens really ran all over them. And the difference is the Ravens were able to stop them on offense. So I think the Ravens are legit good. They're 5-1, and then you've got Cincinnati at 4-2, right?
Yeah.
Steelers are what, 3-3, and the Browns are 3-3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus. But yeah, that was ugly. That was our regional game here yesterday, and it was never close. Never.
It's so Chargers though, and this is where I get to gloat because I freed myself from this pain.
Yeah, they even missed an extra point, Mike. First touchdown, they missed the extra point.
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they fucking did. But that's the thing though, because most of the time being a Chargers fan is watching them blow, games they should win. But then the beauty of Chargers football, the sublime part of Chargers football, is that sometimes they win those early games that they usually blow, and you start thinking, oh, this is the year. Like, man, they figured it out. They're turning it around. And then you go out and play Baltimore and get fucking obliterated, and then you're reminded that, no, this is Chargers football.
We have a request for this. Hold on.
San Diego Superchargers. San Diego Chargers.
There you go. There you go, Jack Frost.
Have they ever bothered to make a Los Angeles version of that? Like,
No, I'm going to one of these days.
No.
I'm just going to go have the talk to text go Los Angeles.
Superchargers.
By the way, and then I guess one last thing, because I didn't realize the significance of this, but we had the first scoregami of the 2021 season on Sunday.
Oh,
Which game was that again?
That was
38-11.
Rams Giants 38-11.
Weird score. Yeah.
how do you
The 1067th unique final score in NFL history.
How do you get 11?
11? Because last week we had our first. I put it up on our Twitter feed. It was the first time. Oh shit! I don't remember the score, but we had one last.
Let me pull it up, because I honestly forgot, because to be fair, I was not paying attention when the Rams were kind of running over this thing. It was 11 with a field goal and a touchdown 2-point conversion.
Okay,
That makes sense.
Yeah, the Giants scored the first and last points of the game.
Okay.
They led 3-0, and then they cut it to 38-11 with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter.
Good job closing that gap, boys.
well
Good job.
done. You got it.
Right, it's like there were 6 minutes left in the game, and they went for the 2-point conversion. It's like,
Hey,
all right.
That's a Dan Campbell move, actually. I'd expect
Wow,
that.
now you're only down 17. What are you gonna do? You're really catching up, huh?
I take that back. Last week was the Browns have lost both games in NFL history with a final score 47-42. The Browns have lost.
Oh,
both.
that's right.
Yeah, that's the one I had. Not a new one. All right,
on to picks.
On to picks. Okay. So, Greg, you will get these. Would you like to go first or go last, since you are lowest in the standings right now, Greg?
I'll go last.
Okay.
No,
So I've got
if
6
you're not first,
games
you're
here.
last.
So the way it's worked, by the way, for the last few weeks, is that I go through and I pick a clutch of games that are close matchups, difficult matchups. So that way there's not just random, at first it was random, but then I didn't want to have to draw Cardinals Texans or something where it's just like, yeah, okay, easy picks. These are difficult picks. There's 6 games to choose from.
So you're not picking the Falcons and Dolphins. Is that what you're saying?
That's a tough pick.
No, Falcons and Dolphins is on this list because that's not an easy game to pick.
Oh, okay.
I thought we
Okay.
just meant like bad teams, but okay, that's
Yeah, Zach, you go first. You are leading the way at 5-1. So pick a number between 1 and 6.
1 and 6.
Yep.
5.
Okay, you are choosing between Saints at the Seahawks.
Ooh. This could go anything. Go anywhere.
I have been impressed by Geno Smith in the 2 games now that he's played.
He lost the game.
He lost. Yes, I understand, but the fact that he got the game to overtime against and the Steelers aren't great, but got the game to overtime. Came in against the Rams and played very well. In Seattle Monday night, New Orleans is coming off a bye, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes. And there's Jameis Winston. You never know what Jameis you're going to get.
Right. That's what I'm thinking about. So I think I'm going to go.
Wait, one last thing to check, Zach. Did the Saints win their last game or lose?
I think they won their last game.
They're 3-2. They beat the Washingtons.
Okay, so they're on this like trajectory of win, lose, and if they just come off a win, I'm probably picking them to lose, especially going.
Well, does the bye count as a win or a loss?
Does the bye reset the counter?
No, I don't think it does. I think it just uses it where you left off.
Against my fan judgment, I'll go Seahawks.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Geno Smith ends up taking Russell Wilson's job?
Oh my God, that would be the best thing that could happen this season.
I will buy a Geno Smith Seahawks jersey. If
I will
that
too. I'll get the fucking lime green one, the neon green one.
All right, Mike, choose a number for me, 1 through 5.
You're gonna have 5.
5. Okay, I have to pick Falcons. Well, but now that the Saints and Seahawks.
Never mind. My bad. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm choosing Falcons at Dolphins.
Oh,
I feel like I choose the Falcons every fucking week. It's at Dolphins. Falcons blow. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins.
So the Dolphins, though.
I got to go with the Dolphins. I feel like they are slightly less just dead inside than the Falcons. The Falcons are just.
Oh yeah, no, the Falcons have nothing left to live for.
The Falcons did win in London, where the Dolphins lost in London. So.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I thought teams right after the London game had to take a bye, but I guess Atlanta and the Jets did, but I guess the Dolphins aren't.
No, the Dolphins played.
The Dolphins weren't in London.
They lost to Jacksonville.
They lost to Jacksonville.
Another point again this weekend.
Yep.
Wow. That feels wrong.
I was reading an article about that, and the reason we get the shitty teams is because the shitty teams are willing to give up a home game to go play over there. That's why you never see like the Rams or the Patriots when they were good, or
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Miami's coming straight back from London.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. No, I misread this, but I mean that's definitely the game. Sunday at noon, Falcons at Dolphins.
Yeah, no, it is like the Jacksonville gets the bye, but the Dolphins don't. That's
that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's not as bad going from London to the East Coast, but still.
It was roughly the same as a West Coast flight, so really it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Well, the Falcons were off this past week, right?
They had a bye. Yeah.
Okay, so
they were in London and had a bye.
Ah, man, because they've had an extra week to game plan for this. The Dolphins are all jet lagged and shitting curry and probably just feeling terrible. Fuck it. I'll take the Falcons, I guess. I hate doing that.
But my pick, Falcons.
All right, Mike, go ahead and choose 1 through 4.
4.
You are choosing between the Eagles and the Raiders. Eagles at Las Vegas.
Ooh, I'm going to say...
Raiders didn't look bad in their first week without John Gruden.
No.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say Raiders because, despite being kind of a clown show, I think they have a better body of work this season than the Eagles do. So I'm going to go with the Raiders.
I think getting Gruden out of there might not be a bad thing for them. I mean, we made a joke when he first got hired. We're like, this is going to be a disaster. Well, it turned out to be a bigger disaster than we could have planned for, but still a pretty big disaster. So we'll see.
What was that, Zach?
Nothing.
Oh. Okay.
All right, Greg, you have 1 through 3 to choose from here.
1.
All right, number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Tennessee Titans.
Chiefs all the way.
Okay. Now that was that game because I feel like the Chiefs have not been playing great. They've been
they rebounded in the second half against the soccer workforce. They were fine.
I got to go with the Chiefs because They're like that ticking time bomb. You're waiting for them to explode.
But what about your irrational confidence?
My irrational confidence resides in Cincinnati now, boys. That's just
Okay.
By the way, I have to, as I was looking at the schedule, what I was going to say was I have to really kind of pour one out here for NBC Sports. The Sunday Night Football lineup is, I mean, yes, they had the Brady Bowl, then they had Bills Chiefs, but then it's like Seahawks Steelers. This next week is Colts 49ers.
Colts 49ers.
Yeah, I know.
If they flex
Who
out on that?
put that on Sunday Night Football?
Well, you know
Well,
what?
going into the season, it's like maybe it's not that bad as Carson Wentz and the Niners are on the rise and all that sort of stuff. But now it's like injuries and the way the season plays out, like the Seahawks game without Russell Wilson and the Steelers being bad. It's like that sucks. Colts Niners, that sucks.
I'm not confident. I'm not confident in the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan and his like. I can't even tell you if any of our quarterbacks will be alive next week. Like,
right?
Yeah, and then the week after that is Cowboys Vikings.
That'll be a good game. I don't know.
Titans Rams.
Wow.
I don't know.
They can start
When do they get to start flexing? Is it
week 6? Maybe week 7.
I mean,
this is week 7 coming up.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to flex to this week because there's so many good teams on buys. I mean, look at the matchups this week; they're not great. Well, I mean, I would, like Falcons, Dolphins. That should be the Sunday night game, just because fuck everybody.
just because, here, enjoy this shit.
Yeah, flex scheduling begins starts week 5.
Oh, okay.
Huh. All right. Well,
but they need to be able. They need to like flex it 2 weeks in advance. I don't know why you wouldn't have flexed out of Colts 49ers 2 weeks in advance.
Like I said, but look at the schedule. What would you replace it with this week? Maybe Chiefs Titans, I guess.
I mean,
yeah, I get it, but it also has to be flexible, I guess, right? Like some of the games are protected.
Is Bengals Ravens not flexible? I mean, that would be the obvious match. Yeah. I mean, that's the obvious game of the week.
CBS might have protected it for that reason.
True. It's like an expansion draft or something. They just protect whatever games.
Yeah.
NBC can't pick any game they want. I mean, there's only a certain pool of games they're allowed to move, right?
Yeah, and then some teams are only allowed to be in primetime so many times. So like they couldn't pick like the Rams if they wanted to. I think because the Rams are already on Sunday night twice this year, scheduled to be. Anyway.
So the algorithm essentially shits out a bunch of garbage, and then they don't really have too many options. But I mean, if there was a better option, they'd have gone to it. You'd think.
Yeah.
I mean, they want ratings. It's huge money for them. They only get so many of these a year.
Yeah.
If you look at the uniform matchup, Colts 49ers.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, especially the 49ers wear their swank throwbacks.
Did you want to?
And then between weeks 5 and 10, up to 2 games maybe flex into Sunday night between weeks 5 and 10. So
they do it twice in that time period.
They can only do it twice between weeks 5 and 10. So maybe they didn't want to burn it this week when they see like coming up in the schedule. They want to move out of. Let's say they want to move out of Titans Rams in week 9.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, yeah.
Would you guys
want to do what, Mike?
Oh no, I was saying we have the big 4 3-way ready.
Oh, you got to do that.
All
right. Okay, so let's see. Since Greg, you went first for the picks, you may choose a category here as well.
Let's do Major League Baseball this week.
Baseball, all right. When the Philadelphia Athletics moved to Kansas City, the elephant mascot was retired and was replaced by this real animal named Charlie O, who served the team sometimes in a literal capacity from 1965 to 1976.
Charlie O the Mule.
No, I had no idea about this. I learned this today. So there you go.
Whoa. The A's at one point retired the elephant?
Yeah.
They had Charlie O the Mule for years after that. Yeah.
I had no idea. This is all news to me. So you got a bunt there.
I want to look up something else fun. I think it was Kansas City. Instead of having a ball boy, they had like what was basically a Bugs Bunny that sprung up out of the ground with a basket of baseballs, and the ump would go over and take the balls out. And that's well, look it up.
From Charlie O, reading about him. Yeah, sometimes he would the relievers would ride Charlie O to the mound which is I feel like that's illegal or something. Like it just sounds wrong. But I mean, it was the 60s.
What, the relievers oh my god! I just looked this up. It's a real fucking donkey.
Yeah, it's a real mule.
No, when last year during the pandemic season, when there was no fans and they had the cardboard cutouts, the A's behind the visitor dugout put a giant cutout of Charlie O.
That's awesome.
And I learned about it because I was watching an Angels game. And it's like, why is there a horse?
Why is there a donkey?
And sure enough.
There you go. Learn something new today.
This is amazing. You know what? I don't care if it's illegal or not. Like the A's should bring this back. Ride the fucking donkey out to the mound.
When Charlie Finley was the owner of that team, he did some wild shit. There was when they were in their 70s dynasty, when they won like 3 World Series in a row, he had like a guy named Herb Alexander, who was basically a designated base stealer. He couldn't even play baseball. He could just run the bases. And they did shit like that. He wanted to use orange baseballs at night because he thought you could see them better.
He owned the California Golden Seals. I mean, paint their skates white.
Yeah.
And when there would be a puck mark, you had to paint over it again. So by the end of the season, those skates were heavy.
And he like those A's teams that had all the crazy mustaches and beards, he paid them to do that. Like if you grew a beard, you got an extra $300. He's a whole character. You should really look into him more. He's an interesting guy.
Oh,
the cheapest World Series rings I've ever seen in like 72 or 73. I don't remember what year it was.
I'm glad that Mike didn't know about it either. You and Zach both like right off the top of your heads, boom, knew exactly what it was. But I'm glad that I wasn't alone and being like stunned.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, he was a big white mule. Yeah,
look up the ball delivery system with Bugs Bunny and a basket of baseballs. That's pretty good too.
All right, Zach, since you
go ahead,
Zach, since you chimed in there, you had quick similar knowledge of Charlie O. You may go next.
Let's go with hockey.
Hockey. Okay. I want this may be another one that's just easy as fuck. The original Ottawa Senators, citing financial struggles, moved to what American city for the 1934-35 season, which would ultimately be their last in existence. Bonus point if you can name their mascot.
I think I know
the St. Louis Hawks.
No, not the Hawks. St. Louis
Eagles.
St. Louis Eagles. You got it.
Yeah. St. Louis Hawks was the basketball team. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
St. Louis Eagles. Yeah.
Now, are the St. Louis Hawks what we now know as the Atlanta Hawks?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All
right. Mike.
Yo. Oh, okay.
Hi.
National Basketball Association. Let's get inside my comfort zone.
Okay. The mascots for the then Washington Bullets, named Alex the Bullet, Tiny BB, and Tiny 2, were what animals?
Washington Bullets mascots.
Yeah.
I don't remember them having mascots.
Alex the Bullet?
Alex the Bullet was the first one, yeah.
And then Tiny
BB and Tiny 2. These are real animals.
Okay.
What kind of animals would a bullet own?
Wow. Okay. Tiny BB, Alex the Bullet.
If I were a bullet, what were my pets be?
Greyhounds?
Close. They were dogs, but they were dachshunds.
Okay. What?
What? It's really fucking
long legs, basically.
Yeah, they're really fucking cute. First of all, and I'm gonna put it in our
well, of course, they're dogs.
I'll send it to you, Greg, or to the text chat. And and if you want, Greg, you can pull it up and share it. They would have them go around in like a tiny cart, and like Tiny 2, he was the last one. This was in the late 80s, I want to say. He would be in a tiny little cart. He had a little crown, and it was just really cool. So they were dachshunds, the Washington Bullets, because I guess the first one, his head looked like a bullet. So there you go, Greg. If you want to share those, feel free.
Yeah, look at that. That's cute.
Hold on, I'm working on it, boys. What did he do with him here?
And the last one, whenever you're ready, the last one is for everybody. So it kind of worked out the way you guys chose them. You didn't choose football.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to find. Oh, there it is. Image. Okay. I didn't look at what I'm looking for here. There we go. We'll open this. As soon as it's not uploading, I will put it up on the screen so you can see.
Okay.
There they are.
Yeah, there's tiny BD.
That's amazing.
He's got little sunglasses and everything. He's got a little. But anyway,
my mom and my brother had a dachshund. She was just the sweetest, cutest little dog ever.
Dachshunds are
Just
awesome.
loved it. Yeah, her name was Gretchen.
So this is for everybody, and this is the last question for the NFL. Of the 32 current NFL franchises, 10 of them had their names chosen by a contest where the fans' vote decided the name. How many of those 10 teams had their names chosen this way?
I'm gonna go Jacksonville.
Yep, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Tampa Bay
Carolina.
Bucks.
No, Bucks was chosen by a committee.
Oh, damn it.
Carolina.
Carolina Panthers was also chosen by a committee.
Okay.
Houston Texans.
Texans.
No, Texans also chosen by a committee.
Jeez.
Oh fuck. Dolphins.
Chicago Bears.
No, Bears were named as a homage to the Cubs. The Dolphins, because they played in Wrigley Field. The Dolphins was chosen by a fan vote. Yeah, that's one.
Okay.
Okay.
Jaguars and Dolphins. Titans, no. Titans was chosen by the committee that ran the team.
Wow, we're terrible at this. Buccaneers. Oh, we already said that one, right?
Buccaneers, no.
Jets.
Chargers?
Nope, no Chargers.
Chargers named after a credit card, Mike.
Seahawks, yes. Seahawks, Jaguars, and Dolphins so far.
Vikings.
Nope.
We're just gonna guess.
I know
every
you're
team
just guessing. Okay, so I'll just kind of go through them here.
Wait, what about the Jets?
No, Jets. No,
They were chosen. They were chosen specifically to rhyme with the Mets.
Oh, okay.
So we can just
next to LaGuardia.
Let me try one more.
Okay, one more guess.
49ers.
No.
I have no idea.
Okay, so the Bills, Buffalo Bills, fan vote.
Oh, that's stupid.
Broncos. The Cleveland Browns was actually a fan vote.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was. See, that's the thing though. That's like you get so many. Like it's sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not.
Wait,
So
So the fans chose to name the team after the owner of the team.
Well,
So-
see that's the thing too. That there's kind of like two stories to that. A lot of people thought they like with Browns they were naming like the White Sox, Red Sox, Reds. They were going to be the Browns after the Brown Sox. So there's that story too.
The way that I read it, what I read was that the Browns was on the list of names. It won the fan vote, but Paul Brown didn't want to name the team after himself. He was going to name them the Panthers, but then I guess people were like, "Nah, fuck that. We don't want that." So he reluctantly said, "Okay, well, we'll just name it after myself."
All right, there you go.
Direct your emails to your angry emails, Brownsons, to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Indianapolis Colts, the Atlanta Falcons, the Saints, Jaguars, Seahawks, Dolphins. So
I said that the Chiefs were. They started out as the Dallas Texans.
correct. Yeah, when they changed their name when they moved to Kansas City, they held a vote to change their name.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, cool. You learn something
Right, there you go. That's the thingy for this week.
Big 4-3 way.
Quickly before we're done here, because I know we're running close to time. I have a Zach's tab. If
what?
Hold on a minute.
Zach's tabs.
Oh, Mike, hold on. We got to do this right. Hold on a minute. It's been a long time. All right.
I've never been on the show for a Zach tab. This is awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's tabs.
Zach's tabs.
All right.
Okay.
This comes from the New York Times. This is a big story out of New Zealand. After more than 2 decades, the official wizard of Christchurch, New Zealand, has lost his job. He was believed to be the world's only wizard on a government payroll, paid $10,000 annually for the city for, quote, acts of wizardry and other wizard-like services.
Yeah!
Cool.
Wait a minute. There's a Christchurch, New Zealand had an official wizard on the municipal payroll.
Yes, according to this New York Times story. I just linked it.
Yeah, he's a wizard. I mean, that dude's a wizard. He's got a wizard tab. I like the top comment on the Twitter page. That's a pretty remarkable bargain for wizard-like services.
I mean, that's true. You're not.
Wizards just aren't as in demand as they used to be.
Look, oh man, he's got the hat and the beard. Man. Oh, okay.
Come on a second. Let me see here.
10,000 a year to be that's not bad.
I mean,
besides that, I mean, what's 10? Is that 10,000 a year in New Zealand money? What does that come out to in American money?
I don't know. My free New York Times clicks have run out for the month. So
no, I feel like that was. Well, let me see. So I wonder how he files this. I mean, does he file that I'm a professional wizard?
You walk in, to file your taxes. Okay, sir. Profession.
He's been on the payroll, by the way, since 1998.
How did this why?
So I thought when it was like New Zealand and a wizard, I was like, oh, is this some weird Gandalf impersonator thing? Like, no, because he's been doing it since '98 before they even started filming the movie.
You want to hear the saddest part about this? That $10,000 and 10,000 New Zealand dollars he's making to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Only $7,095 in US dollars. So he's not even making that much money at it.
Well, it looks,
but he's also living in New Zealand as a wizard. So
I mean,
that's a fair point.
I'm reading the article here now. He has apparently gotten himself out of the job. In April this year, he said, "I love women. I forgive them all the time. I haven't struck one yet. Never strike a woman."
He's old, by the way.
He's old as fuck. Yeah. In August, on his Facebook, he promoted what he called "Save the Males" campaign because he wants to invite people to help protect the latest endangered species, whatever the fuck that means. And the last quote is from him: "I don't like being canceled." So, yeah, $10,000 a year, probably just time.
Okay, what did he do? What constitutes wizard-like services?
He casts spells to help rugby teams. In 1988, he was summoned to New Zealand's South Island Waimate, I'm saying that wrong, to perform a rain dance to combat drought. And it rained for after half an hour. After he was done doing the weird dance prayer thing, it actually started raining. So he would later be summoned to Australia to help with the drought, where he skipped in a circle while drumming and was splashed with buckets of water, which soon ended the drought. So they actually believed he has some sort of weird
wizard-like abilities.
Yeah. So
I would say give him a raise. I mean,
how does that work in Australia? It's like, so we to combat this ecological disaster, we have outsourced drought management to a wizard from New Zealand.
Well, he says he's been doing the pro bono wizard work for 16 years after he was named the city's official wizard in 1982. So it's sort of just like they're just compensating him for years of, just.
Will they re-elect a new wizard? Is that what's going to happen here, or what?
Nah, I think they're done with. I think the wizarding thing is done.
Oh, you do that at your own peril. Just saying.
Yeah.
The age of wizards is done, my friends. We're not gonna.
That's too bad.
The demonry of Aaron Rodgers is enough to deal with. It's a wizard that can stop that.
Did Aaron Rodgers kill the world of magic? Is that what we're getting at?
I almost called the show Aaron Rodgers is Satan because you have to put a description up on Facebook when you want to post a live video. I didn't know that people that maybe don't listen as closely would get the joke, and I didn't want to upset religious folks. So anyway, that's all. All right. Anything else, boys, or should we call it a night?
Yeah, we'll talk about hockey later and the Batman trailer later. And
there is one hockey note I'd like to point out. Zach and I played each other in our first matchup of fantasy hockey, and best I can tell, I beat you by 1/1000th of a percentage point.
Well, yeah, because it's if you look at the goaltending stats, like our goals against averages have the same number, but mine's bolded. So I assume that I won that by some tiny percentage point somewhere. And then you beat me in save percentage by 0.001% of save percentage. Wow. That's what that came down to.
You see, and I just want to point this out too. That last season, Zach and I were 1-2 in our conference. So that's not like that wasn't like a couple of bumbling idiots going at each other. That was like some real hardcore.
The Bolton Crusaders go back years in their rivalry.
Was this a Darcy Kemper game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
How long have I been wanting to get that guy on my team as a goalie, and he's my starter now. Jesus,
Darcy, God, Jesus.
Yeah, it's okay. And I assume I'm going to blame it on Philip Grubauer because he got shelled for like 5 goals tonight against the Flyers. So looking real good for this week too.
I was thinking Darcy Kemper back when he had like that weird run with the Wild, I believe it was like years ago. Yeah.
Shout out to the. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he's with the Avalanche now, though, so he should be pretty good. I think. I hope. Go ahead, Andy. Shout out to what?
Well, shout out to the WNBA's Chicago Sky. They won the championship. And won the title against Phoenix. Kudos to them. Well done, Chicago Sky. Cool.
Yeah, I think we've had a pretty good track record on this show over the years of being very supportive of the WNBA and all the other women's sports. So good.
Yep, we can name just as many WNBA players as NBA players,
and that's the only way it should be. If we're gonna do one, we got to do the other. So we're gonna ignore both leagues. Sorry. No, I'm a big fan. I don't watch it, but I wish it nothing but success is what I should say.
Yeah,
not because I don't like women's basketball, it's because I just don't like basketball. So that's my thing. We about done?
That's all I got.
I think we're good.
All righty. Well, follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, the YouTubes, and wherever fine podcasting is sold. We will see you all next week.
Latest.
Adios.